Hi everyone, I am back with another video. It feels so good to be back and to be talking to you guys, updating you guys. It's been so much going on. I didn't take a break. I just been very busy. I had been planning my birthday trip to Europe. I did like a little world tour. My birthday was just last June. I turned 28 years old. I decided for my birthday that I was gonna do a trip to a place that I've never been before. I decided to go to 4 different places in Europe. The way that the trip came about was I was meditating one day and I asked the question like, what should I do for my 28th birthday? The idea just came to mind to do Rome. So I looked into Rome. I saw that the flight was like 8 hours. I might as well go to other places. I started to ask for signs like what other places should I visit in Europe. Athens, Greece, Santorini, Greece came to my mind, and then Paris. I decided to go kind of like last minute once I had finalized Rome, Athens, and Santorini. I decided on Paris because I didn't want to eat that 15-hour flight to New York from Santorini. So I was like, I cannot be on a plane for 15 hours. It would be my first time ever on a plane for that long. I decided, you know, why not stop in Paris for like a day? And that's exactly what I did. I decided to take 12 days to myself and not bring my child. I decided to go by myself. I needed to enter 28 on a very calm, relaxing, kind of like new person vibe. I wanted to be a nobody in a world full of somebodies. And, you know, at the end of the day, I was a somebody. I mean, obviously I'm a somebody, but I just really wanted to go to a place where nobody would know me. I wouldn't see anybody I knew. I would be looking at different things. I would be experiencing different things. I would be experiencing artwork. I would be experiencing history. I think that was it more so for me, that I wanted to experience history. It was such a challenge just planning the trip because I didn't know where to start. I didn't know what I was looking for. I didn't know if I was gonna do a cruise. I didn't know if I was gonna do a tour group. I started looking into these things and I decided that a cruise was not for me. I was not gonna be on a boat for 12 days. I've never been on a boat for that long before. So I was like, I don't wanna do that. And then plus the excursions would have been very expensive for no reason. Like if you decided to do it on a boat and it would have to be rushed. I just felt that I wouldn't be able to soak everything that I wanted to do in. I didn't go with the tour group because I was like, why would I pay all this money for this? And I could do it myself. So I was like, okay, I started researching like what are some things to do in Rome? What are some things to do in Athens and Santorini and Paris? It was obviously related to history because that's what I wanted to explore. I planned the trip towards the end of April. I kind of already knew where I wanted to go, what I wanted to do, the places that I wanted to see. I booked everything on my own. I booked the Airbnbs, I booked the plane tickets, I booked the excursions. It was a lot. It took a lot of planning. It took a lot of research. I was up late nights looking at videos, seeing what other people had to say, like what they recommended. And then on top of that, not only did I go to these places, right? But I was there like truly a local. I was taking the trains. I was walking everywhere. I mean, I just decided to go out and just really fully like experience another country, experience how the local people were living, like what were they going through on a daily basis. It was such an amazing experience. Comment down below if you want me to do a video whereby I talk more about how I booked everything. And if you have any questions, let me know. Like, I want to answer any questions that you guys might have. Getting to the vlog part of the video. So, okay, when I went, right, I was like, I'm gonna take YouTube videos. I'm gonna be talking to the camera. When I got to Rome, like the first part of the trip, I didn't do that. Like, I recorded the 16:9 ratio YouTube videos, but I didn't speak into the camera. I was just so enamored with Rome, and it was such a beautiful experience. It was so peaceful. The Airbnb was so sick. I mean, it was like everything that I was looking for and really what I wanted. It was exactly how I wanted to start my trip off. It had this amazing bookshelf that was kind of like floor to ceiling. It was so nice. I loved it. The first time that I saw it on Airbnb, I was like, yeah, this is the place that I want to be. Everything, the decorations of the Airbnb was very nice. They had a big mirror, which I love because that was definitely something that I wanted since I was gonna be taking my own pictures. And it's so crazy because I realized on my way to the airport that I left my clicker. I left it in my computer bag, and I was like, oh my gosh, like what am I gonna do? Like, I hope that Rome has like selfie sticks and clickers and they sell it. I was like researching on my way to the airport, like, you know, if Rome had like Amazon services, and it was so crazy. Like, I'm like, oh, what a perfect way to start my trip for getting my clicker. But I was like, we're gonna make this work. Like, where there's a will, there is a way. My first day in Rome, I walked around and just my luck, I found like a little discount store. It was crazy. It was like nothing I've ever seen before. I mean, this discount store just had so much stuff. Like, imagine a discount store in New York, right? Imagine Five Below, but there's no hooks. There's like only just shelves, and there's tons and tons of things. It was crazy, but I found the clicker and I was like, hello, here we go. And of course the clicker was like giving me issues. It didn't really want to click. I don't know if it was the battery. I mean, I changed the battery and it still was like giving me hard time. So my pictures came out amazing. I mean, I wouldn't change anything about it. My pictures were exactly what I wanted it to be, and it was what it was. But going back to the Airbnb was nice. It was modern, but with a twist of Rome to it. The location was great too. So choosing the Airbnb, I had to research the locations of the Airbnbs. So I wanted to pick an Airbnb that was kind of like close to the train, that had a lot of good restaurants around it. That wasn't too far out the city. Like, in case the trains weren't working, I could go ahead and just walk to the center of the city. The flight to Rome was 8 hours. It wasn't that bad. I caught a red eye. It was from like 12:30 in the morning, and then I would land in Rome around 2 o'clock. And the flight was 8 hours because Rome is 6 hours ahead of New York time. So baby, I was in the future and y'all was in the past. I was in the future, and it felt so good to just be in a completely different time zone. I mean, I've been to LA, and LA is 3 hours behind, but Rome is 6 hours. So I was way ahead of the game, baby. Hello. Landed at the Airbnb. The host met me for the Airbnb. They showed me how everything worked. The Airbnb was on a second floor, no elevators. And I'm gonna be inserting a clip of my travel bags, and I took this clip in Athens, Greece. So I had a little Vera Bradley expandable travel tote bag, and I had a Lululemon backpack, which was like 46 liters, so it was basically the size of a carry-on. And then I had a actual carry-on that I could roll around. It was weighing like 25 pounds, 35 pounds. Comment down below if you want to know about how I packed for my trip. I was gone for 12 days. Really, I was gone for like almost 13 days because Paris was crazy. In my research, I realized that a lot of Airbnbs in Rome, like, they don't have elevators, and I had to think strategically about the things that I was taking with me because I wanted to be comfortable, and I know that I was gonna be doing a lot of traveling, so I didn't want to bring too much things. Did I overpack? Absolutely. Like, I could have kept some things at home, but you know, I'm a woman, so it's like I need to bring just extra things just in case. I was doing laundry at the Airbnbs. I did laundry in Rome and I did laundry in Athens. It was easy. It was so simple. Like, these places provided the instructions for you in the Airbnb, so it wasn't like rocket science. The Airbnb was nice. It had this little radio, and the radio kind of kept me company. Like, the radio would be playing such good music. I mean, the music was amazing. The music was like jazz style. It was like Stevie Wonder. The radio, I mean, it just knew exactly what to play, and it played exactly what I needed to hear. It kept me company, and it was just good to have the quietness and have the radio. And you know what's crazy is, like, the radio in Rome, like, they don't play the same song back to back to back to back to back to back like here in New York. Like, in New York, you turn on the radio stations and they're playing the same song 10-20 times. Like, it's no other song in the world. Like, come on, New York, like, we have to do better. We have to get it together. Another thing that I really liked about Rome was that in the airport, it was like a row of sinks, and each section had its own soap dispenser, water, and then had its own dryer. You don't have to walk anywhere to dry your hands. You don't have to use napkins. You could just stay in one spot and dry your hands. And I really liked that. Like, it was so futuristic. Getting off the airplane in Rome was hectic. Like, I'm talking about, it was thousands of people just getting off different planes and going into customs. It was a little bit confusing, but I mean, there were people there like helping. It was too much to record. I had my hands full. Everybody had to basically make separate lines, and you had to scan your passport on like these little machines to go into customs. It was like about 20 machines, so imagine thousands of people just trying to go through these machines. It was ridiculous, but I mean, we made it through. I took an Uber. Getting an Uber in the Rome airport was a little bit confusing, but it wasn't too bad. Like, the airport in Rome is not that big, so it wasn't that crazy. It was pretty easy catching a Uber. I mean, I had to walk a little bit to him because he had to meet me in a certain location, but I mean, it wasn't that bad. And then he dropped me off at the Airbnb. I stayed in Rome a total of 4 days, and I planned all my excursions. Each day I did one thing. I visited a total of 3 museums per se, and of course I explored the city. I went to the Capitolini Museum. I visited the Vatican, which is its own state, and it's the smallest state in the world, which I found so fascinating. And it's basically Vatican City, and that's where the Pope lives. And I visited Villa Borghese, which is like a museum. And these places, they have a lot of historical artifacts. They have artifacts from like the Renaissance, from ancient civilizations. They had artwork by Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Raphael. There were like these estates. There were beautiful, big estates, just artwork everywhere. The whole thing was a piece of artwork. Like, I'm talking about just the outside. It was such an amazing experience. I saw a lot of amazing artifacts. I saw a lot of great sculptures. I mean, just looking at how these artists were able to use their hands and create a figure out of marble and out of bronze was so amazing. I mean, it took a lot of skills. It didn't happen overnight. You had to constantly work on it. Imagine messing up. Like, you would have to start all over again. I mean, it took a lot of attention to detail, and that's exactly what I wanted to see. I wanted to see the beautiful history of these artists and how they were able to create such masterpieces that Western civilization and Eastern civilization has come to really appreciate and really love. The Villa Borghese was like this amazing garden style hill. It was acres. I'm talking about acres of just trees and flowers and artwork. And the museum was cool. It was like 2 floors. There was part of the museum that was closed, but overall it was a great experience. I did do the guided tour for the Vatican just because it was a lot to see, and I really wanted someone to explain to me the importance of the Vatican and what was so important about Michelangelo's work. And so I felt like I needed a guide for that, so I did pay for a guide.
So this is the conclusion of the biblical time. In the ceiling, the creation, the very beginning, God created the universe. On one side, Moses, the Old Testament, prophets predicting Jesus, okay, and then the New Testament, Jesus Christ, the time of the church, and here the end of the time. The whole Bible, from the creation to the final judgment, the only building with the whole Bible inside. And Michelangelo made a beginning and the end. Okay, thank you for your attention. Let's go to the...
So it was really nice. I had a great tour guide to guide me through the Vatican and really answered all questions that I had. When I got to the Sistine Chapel, they were like, you can't take any pictures. But I mean, people were taking pictures, like, obviously. They had security in there and everybody saw a flash go off and they were like, no pictures. But they didn't come up to you. They didn't take your phone. And the reason why they don't want any pictures is because people sometimes, they don't have common sense. So if they turn the flash on, that can destroy the pigment of the paint on the ceilings and on the wall. So that's why they didn't want anybody taking pictures. But they could just say no flash. Like, people were taking pictures and I took some pictures. Arrest me. I was able to go and visit the Sistine Chapel, which Michelangelo did the whole thing on freshly plastered ceiling and walls, and how he was able to paint a story from the Bible of creation and of Moses and just create this room that was amazing. And when you go in, you feel like there's different kind of energy, this different kind of vibe. You get the vibe that nothing is impossible. You get a feeling of faith and you get a feeling of hope. And I guess that was what I was really looking for. I was just speechless at everything, and just Rome in general. Like, Rome was such a lovely place. The weather was not bad in Rome at all. It was actually really nice. place. I mean, anywhere you turn, there was some activities going on.
Lo spettacolo d'arte varia, io non innamorato di te. It's wonderful, it's wonderful, it's wonderful. Good luck, my babe, it's wonderful, it's wonderful, it's wonderful. I dream of you. Chips, chips, chips. Da 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 da
Here's a clip of me sitting over by St. Angelo's Castle, watching this band play music. I mean, it was like the most peaceful thing ever, having a glass of wine, looking at the sunset, and having a castle behind this band playing music. The music was perfect, the food was perfect. I did have hard pasta and I was like, why are they giving me hard pasta? Like, I don't like hard pasta. I've never had hard pasta before. So I was like, oh, like this is the way that pasta tastes in Rome. And I visited so many different restaurants. Not all restaurants gave me hard pasta, but there was a couple that I was just like, I'm not coming back here again because I didn't like the pasta. I mean, the pasta was very hard. And then I just found out that you can actually tell them to not make the pasta so hard. So when they make the pasta hard, it's called al dente. And I just learned that. So shout out to the person who told me, my little teacher. But yeah, I was going to the grocery store in Rome. I was truly living like a local. I had breakfast in Rome. The breakfast in Rome, I don't know, but it wasn't mind-blowing. The croissant wasn't like, this is so good, or the cappuccino. It was regular to me. It was like, okay, like, all right. It wasn't nothing crazy. In Paris, that was where it blew my mind. Like the croissant in Paris, the baguettes, the coffee, the cappuccinos, yes. In Paris, yes, please, yes. So I visited those places. I hope that you guys enjoy. I booked all my excursions through Get Your Guide. I read the reviews. I really saw which tour to pick because there's different tours for the same thing. So the Vatican Museum might have like 20, 30 different tours and they all offer different things. Like some were skip the line, others weren't, others had audio guide, others didn't. So moving on to Athens. Athens, Greece was a cool experience.